We just saw the Guggenheim, which is by far one of the most important buildings in Wright's career, and particularly the masterpiece of his latest period. But he was working on many other projects, and we can't cover all of them, but I was wondering what other projects you think would be important to understand the evolution of his work and the direction that he was taking in the latter part of his life and career.
Sure. So we won't have time here to go into detail the way we did on some other buildings. We'll just flash by them, but it'll give you a sense of the variety of his work. So we'll begin with the Usonian Automatics. And recall Frank Lloyd Wright's Usonian houses of the 1930s. And he revisits that idea in the 1950s. A couple of his students got together and formed a company to make concrete blocks, and you could order the plans for a Frank Lloyd Wright house, order the blocks, and then you yourself or a local contractor built the house.
Amazing.
So in that sense, it was automatic, as though it was building itself. So those are called the Usonian Automatics. There's about a half a dozen of them.
Very much part of the American culture, right? To do it yourself.
Do it yourself, and picking up on this idea of a democratically affordable housing. And then here is the Beth Solomon Temple in Elkins Park outside of Philadelphia. And here in this synagogue, we get a sense of maybe Mount Sinai, and then inside the gaudiness is pinned down by the massively strong triangular structure. And then here we have the mothership coming in for a landing in this great light fixture. So Frank Lloyd Wright could get off on colored plastic and really enjoy it. And then, just to coin a phrase, he does a series of flying saucer projects. So this is Huntington Hartford Sports Club, play resort and residence. And Huntington Hartford was an heir to the A&P, a grocery chain fortune, and somehow managed to squander all his money. This never got built, but we see these sort of flying saucer-like forms. Wright did a whole series of projects like this. This is the Morris House, the people of the gift shop. He did a house for Marilyn Monroe in this style that never got built. And then this is for a new development of the capital of Baghdad. So there's a plan of Greater Baghdad and then an opera, the Great Opera building. This did not get built. This might have been built. This was a serious project, and the king of Iraq was overthrown by the Ba'athist revolutionaries, and so this did not get built. Around here we are close in on the opera, kind of very Arabian Nights in its decor and its decorativeness. And then around the same time, he does a massive project totally on his own. This was not commissioned by the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but this was his idea for redeveloping the Point in Pittsburgh, a great center with shopping, theaters, etc., spiral parking around the outside. And then this one did get built. This is a Greek Orthodox church in Wisconsin. And here we see again this almost flying saucer-like configuration. And then you see he really got off with the compass. So we got circles going in, circles going out, and very exciting spiral stairs inside. Forms that are quite common today were very exotic at the time. Here we have the Marin County Civic Center. This was built, was finished after his death. Here we see it, spans across hills. When you drive north of San Francisco, you'll pass this. See it spanning across the landscape, a huge complex. This was the only government building he ever did. Federal, state, or local. This one's local. And you might have seen some science fiction movies shot in here. So if it's supposed to be the future and our characters might be seen in this, set in here, several science fiction movies. So what do you think of this late architecture by Frank Lloyd Wright? Is this, someone getting senile, overdoing the compass, or is this a serious new direction for architecture? something for our students to think about.
I'm quite impressed by these later projects, and if we look at the drawings and the details that he designed both for the Guggenheim and for some of these projects, he was very much inspired by nature and so-called organic architecture, which you mentioned a few times. And organic in this case starts to have also not just the fact that it comes out of nature and respects the principles of nature, but his ornaments literally become ornaments or organic, like floral ornaments and so on. So, you know, the fact is that ornament is something that comes later in his career, and I'm wondering why he goes back in that direction. Like most of other modern architects go towards purifying the ornament. Le Corbusier's early houses, they are like extremely ornamented in the tradition of the Swiss Jura, and so his first 4 houses had tons of ornaments, but then later he went into purism and he completely gave up on ornament, and so does Mies. So for other modernists, they are going towards simplification, while in the case of Frank Lloyd Wright, he goes towards ornamentation. So what do you think happened, and why is this
Well,
the case?
I think it's, first of all, working from a principle that comes from Louis Sullivan, that the ornament, it grows out of the geometry of the form. So, for example, Sullivan's will do a ceramic plate that is a square, but then what is a square? Well, it's got diagonals, it's got 4 sides, and so you start emphasizing that. So you see Frank Lloyd Wright taking off with a compass, and we have our round dome here, and then we have our arches, and then we develop our ornament growing out of these major forms. So I think that's the direction he's going, and he's also just not going to put up with a stark architecture.
Do you think it may have some relationship with the Baghdad project, where he was exposed to the arabesque ornaments, the highly geometrical, sophisticated decoration that he might have witnessed there?
I think that he probably took that as giving him permission for that ornamented quality, yeah. Yes.
Interesting, okay. Well, thank you. This is quite a lot has happened in addition to the Guggenheim in the later years.
Right, and then we're going to wind up the 50s with tall buildings. Wright
Yes.
actually got involved in some tall buildings, so we'll do that next.
Exciting.